Hello and welcome. My name is Naseem, and in this video we will try to create very first Power Automate workflow to automate a specific business process. And to do so, the very first thing we need to do is log in into Power Platform, click on these 9 dots and click on Power Automate icon here. One new window will be open for you. Under this, to create a new flow, what we have to do is to click on My Flows, and to create a new flow, we need to select some of the trigger from here, some of the type of the flows which we already discussed in our last videos. So basically we have three different type of flows, and these are automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, and the scheduler cloud flow. As the name suggests, the automated cloud flows are the one which will be triggered automatically. The instant cloud flow are the one which will be triggered when you want to trigger them. And the scheduled cloud flow are the one which are scheduled, and they will be triggered automatically on a specific scheduled time. In our case, we are just going to create an automated cloud flow. So let's select this. In here, you want to select the trigger type for your flow. So this trigger may be when a new response is submitted on a Microsoft form, or there is a specific SharePoint site, and every time there is a new item created in one of the SharePoint list, this trigger should be triggered. And there may be a case when there is an item is created or modified on a SharePoint list, and there are lot of trigger like that. But in our case, we are just going to create a flow that every time there is a new email, this flow should trigger. And for this, we have this trigger here when a new email arrives. So just select it, click on create, and this trigger would be created for you. So every time in any of the Microsoft Automate flow, the very first activity is always a trigger. This may be an automatic trigger like we have selected as of now. It may be a scheduler trigger, or it may be another type of trigger. So if we go and click on show advanced options, so this trigger will be triggered every time there is a new email into the inbox of this user's email, right? And there are number of different parameters you can select. So if you want to select that every time there is a new email, this trigger should trigger only when there should be an attachment, so you need to select yes here. If you want to look for a specific string on the email subject, you need to mention that string here. So in our case, let's consider a scenario that someone is sending some time cards to you. So you want to search for time card in the string. So let's write time card here. If you want to select any importance or something, that is also doable, but let's keep it any. And if you want to make sure that this trigger should trigger only with the attachment, so you need to select it yes. This is how we have set all of our parameters. Now it is the time for the next activity or the action. In here, what we want is that every time there is a new email, our robot or this Microsoft Power Automate flow should look for the attachment and should download that attachment into one of the folder in OneDrive for Business of that user. So let's go ahead, search for the OneDrive for the business, and this is where the actions should start. So the very first activity would be the trigger, and all of the other activities would be the action. And this action, if you want to perform any action on Microsoft Teams, there are a couple of actions you can do, right? Create a team, or get message detail, or get message, or send some message to some of the users and things like that. As well as if you want to perform any action on SharePoint, so there are some actions are available for your SharePoint site. So if you want to copy one file from one folder to the another folder, this is also doable. If you want to create some file on SharePoint site, this is also doable. So we have couple of actions items here, and you can select those items according to your workflow or the business process. So this is all about what is trigger and what are the actions. In our case, we will try to download the attachment which someone sent to this user, and this attachment should be downloaded to OneDrive. So let's search for OneDrive. Here is OneDrive for Business. We are not going to use on OneDrive, but the OneDrive for Business. Let's select it. And to create a file onto OneDrive one of the folder on OneDrive, we have this action. So just select it. Once we select it, it will ask us some of the detail, like what is the folder path, what should be the file name which you want to save, and the file content. So this is the thing we need to fill into this action. Before just filling this folder path, let's go back to the Microsoft OneDrive, click on OneDrive, and this OneDrive will be open for us. In here we don't have any folder, so let's create one folder first for our test purpose. Let me rename it the test folder. Create it. One of the test folder has created for you. Now what we have to do, we have to save a new, every time there is a new email with the attachment, this bot should save that attachment into this folder. Go back to the flow, search for the folder path. So under root, we should get this test folder which I just created. So just select it. The earlier action item will give this detail because this is the one which will give us the detail about the file name and the file content. So there would be one variable called attachment name. Just select by name, so we will get attachment's name. Once we selected this attachment name, you will see that this action item contained by apply to each. There is a legit reason behind it. So whenever we are just going to talk about an attachment, this flow is just making sure if there are multiple attachment, it will save all those attachment into the OneDrive. That is the reason it is actually making a apply to each loop into all of the attachment which we are getting into the email. For file content, we must get this attachment content, and this is done. Our quick flow is ready to test. What we have to do is just save it. In here you will see when this flow ran and what this flow has done. To trigger this flow, we need to send some email back to this user. Under same Microsoft 365, we have multiple users which Microsoft 365 has set up for us. So there is a fake user we have. I'm going back. The username is alexw@onmicrosoft.com. So this is the username and we are in the Outlook of this user. What we have to do, just create a new email and send to this user for which this Microsoft Flow is actually running in the backend. And what is this user is Naseem Ahmed 7890. So by this user, this fake user, we need to send this email back to that user. So to whom? To Naseem. This is the user. And because our robot is actually looking for a specific string in the subject line, so just mark this string. And because we are sending a time card for a specific site, so let's time card for X, for site X, right? And what we have to do, we just need to copy that time card in here. This time card is copied. What we need to do means this user is actually sending this email back to the user for which this Microsoft Power Platform, Microsoft Power Automate bot is working in the backend. Every time there is a new email, it should trigger. So we got this email from this user. That is okay. Now it's time to see if this flow is triggered or not. And in here, we can see that. So it will take some time. And you will see that it is running. So flow triggered automatically upon getting a new email with a specific string in the subject ID. That is done. Now it is succeeded. If we go back to our OneDrive, under test folder, there should be a new email. There should be a new attachment. So the same attachment this user sent to this user, timecard1, has been downloaded to OneDrive. This is all about, and this is how we can create the automation flows very quickly and very easily. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you in next video.